told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
The popular TV series NCIS is a show that many adults diagnosed with inclusion body myositis or IBM watch on a regular basis. Every episode, regardless from which city's episode is being viewed, you can be guaranteed some drama and suspense. In our IBM lives, there's more than our fair share of drama and suspense also.
I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really...
The IBM that our NCIS team is looking for is not the multinational computer company, but it's a global skeletal muscle disease that affects tens of thousands of people of both sexes from around the world. IBM stands for Inclusion Body Myositis, that slowly and progressively affects adults at an average onset age of 55 years by robbing the muscle strength and dexterity from their proximal and distal muscles, usually including the forearms and hands, quadriceps and biceps, calf muscles, and muscles that control the feet, as well as some throat muscles that assist swallowing from drink. There has not been a cause determined for this disease, nor any cure for this type of muscular dystrophy, and unfortunately, there is not enough research and development of a cure for IBM. Since most physicians do not know anything practical about an IBM patient's daily living activities, and I also have a growing number of medical professionals subscribing to this channel, let's turn our attention to explaining IBM from a patient's viewpoint that is seldom mentioned in a physician's medical training. To do this, let's investigate a few other IBMers who are willing to give us a glimpse of how they and their caregivers handle daily life activities. Their stories vary in severity and nature, which is one of the puzzling attributes of this skeletal muscle disease. Not everyone experiences the same symptom order or severity. Let's conduct interviews with an IBM representative from each of the continental U.S. time zones, starting with Neva from Ohio.
I was told about my IBM diagnosis in 2017 at the Cleveland Clinic, and after a 2-hour doctor visit with 2 doctors and 3 tests later, a muscle test, a nerve test, and finally a muscle biopsy, and was informed there was no cure for this muscle disease. I had lost about 50 pounds by then. I cried and cried buckets of tears, thinking I was going to die. I felt strong and thought, I can handle this. Little did I know how tough it really is. But I'm not a quitter. In the next year of 2018, I had lost 85 pounds. I fell into camper and broke my ankle on both sides on the left foot. I spent the summer in a cast and ended up with ankle surgery and another cast, and then a boot for the summer into the fall of that year. That seemed to be the downward spiral for me. My emotions were starting to get me, and I had the support of my husband and a few friends. You learn who your friends really are when something like this happens. I took the attitude that this was not going to get me, and I pressed on. I'm not a quitter. I kept telling myself, I think emotions for me is like being on a roller coaster. If I said it was always easy, I would be lying. The secret for me is when I can't do something, my husband and I figure out a different way to do it. If I can't do it, then I have to let it go and move on to the next challenge. For me, not being a quitter has helped me deal with IBM. When my feet hit the floor first thing in the morning, I face new challenges every day. IBM affects my life a lot, and I have tried to figure out every challenge. I have several challenges right now. They are how to install a roll-in shower because of the cost. One day we will need a ramp van. We need a refrigerator that I can open and get stuff out of with the freezer on the bottom because I can't bend over and get the stuff. And I need a different type of a toilet so when we camp, I can get up by myself. I don't sleep as much as I used to, and it's harder to get in and out of bed. And a need for a high-low bed to bring my head up is another challenge. I think night times is hard for me because I cry more in bed. I realize why. After a day of dealing with challenges, I am stressed. One night I had no reason to cry, and I'm crying. And I said, Lord, what is wrong with me? Why am I crying? And it was dawned on me like another part of me has died, and I was mourning the old me. And the old part of Neva has died, but I'm still me, and I need to accept it and move on. My quote is, Neva, you are not a quitter. Never give up, ever. Dig deep inside yourself and learn to adjust. Invent new ways to do things, and you will be amazed. All of us have so much to offer the IBM groups. So get involved, make new friends, and support each other. And we will make it, and we will be stronger for it. I can't drive, so I don't have the freedom to come and go. This is another challenge with IBM, and it affects your emotions a lot. Old friends go on without you, and you don't get involved. It makes the isolation 1,000 times worse, which affects the emotions. It's hard to stay connected when you're stuck at home. I don't get many calls or texts, but I've learned to deal with that. The support groups for IBM are a lifesaver, and I have a special IBM friend in Arizona, and she's a lifesaver, and she understands me. And we only met once, but boy, did we hit it off. And we keep in touch sometimes 2 to 3 times a week. I occupy myself with TV, Kindle, support groups. I watch traffic out the window by my chair. And boy, I have learned to be flexible and go with the flow. I've learned not to get too overwhelmed, and I've tried to make some plans for myself. Some of the things we've had to do is we had to get a different car. We had to buy a high-top table. My husband made a lift box seat, a lift box to put under my lift chair to get me up higher. Some people at camp gave us a deck, and he tore it apart and rebuilt it and put 3-inch steps to it so I could go in and out. The first stimulus check we got, we purchased a lift ramp and chair to get to the bedroom and the bathroom in our camper. We bought the lift seat for the toilet in the bathroom here at the house, and that's a lifesaver. Lee has built 3-inch steps in our garage with a ramp for my quantum chair to go down to the side. And I came up with a lot of tools for helping me in the kitchen. And we put a suction cup handle on the dryer. If you fall, and you know you're going to fall because that's one of the biggest issues, have a plan for yourself to get up off of the floor. If you're by yourself and you can't get to your phone, while you still can, come up with a plan that you can get yourself up. My husband puts me in and out of the shower now because I don't have the arm and the leg strength. He dresses me because of the arms and legs. I can no longer curl my hair. He tried once, and we decided it was just better to have a shorter haircut for me. And one of the challenges is putting on makeup. Lee said, I don't want his makeup job. So we've decided that's not going to work. So don't let my list be your list. This is my challenges and how I've dealt with them. I'm sure there's many more to come. I will figure them out with my husband. Life with IBM is a challenge, but it's so worth finding out how to do it. We're all so different, so that is why we have our own way. We share ideas with the support group, and we ask questions. The valuable information on the groups are priceless and so helpful. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You will get many answers that will help you so much.
Hello, my name is Craig Berge. I live in California, and I was currently diagnosed with IBM about 15 years ago. After I was diagnosed, I joined the Myositis organization, and I began going to the KIT meetings and national conventions. And while I was at my first national convention, I was somewhat surprised in that a lot of people were not dealing with the diagnosis very well. They just seemed to be struggling. So I quickly realized that I needed to have an attitude of, I have myositis, but it doesn't have me. I learned that I needed a strong support structure to help me battle this disease. So I put together a list of some of my most important areas of support. First of all, it's the IBM groups and other resources that I just love. Top of the list is Jerry King's IB myositis videos. The myositis KIT meetings have been a strong area of support for me. I've learned both many things at the meetings, but also after the meetings, as I've communicated with people through emails, through phone calls, through luncheons. It's just been a real big help, these KIT meeting individuals. There are also a lot of excellent Facebook groups that I've used that have been a really big help. Another area of support is my faith. It's my religion. And many of you have similar views, or you have your own internal support structure where you get your support and your strength. In fact, even at the National Myositis meetings, they've had multiple breakout sessions that address these needs. But by far, the biggest area of support comes from my wife. She helps me with all of my daily needs, like getting out of bed, getting dressed, getting out of chairs, meals, all of my constant requests of, can you get this or can you do that? And the list goes on and on and on. I would absolutely not be able to cope without my wife, my caregiver by my side. The big takeaway here is part-time caregivers can help and play a role in your support, but in the latter stages of IBM, having a living caregiver, if there's any way possible, is almost a necessity. I realize that everyone is in different places with their own situation. In my experiences, I've learned that the most important thing is to stay positive and to have an attitude of gratitude. I've learned that it's a constant battle for me to stay positive, to stay upbeat. When I fall or I have other issues, it quickly raises my stress level. It's a constant fight to not let these stresses get the best of me. I don't want to pass on that stress to others, especially my wife. And as you think about it, caregivers have as much stress as we do, and probably even more, as they're always taking care of us. So we better figure out how to constantly express our gratitude to our caregivers. On my experiences with falling, I thought I would share that. Most of my falls were at the beginning. They were in stage 1, as I learned how to cope with IBM. I didn't have as many falls in stage 2, but now that I'm in stage 3, I'm falling again. So why is that? Well, in stage 1, I moved around like I had my full strength. That was a big mistake. In stage 2, I'd already learned to be more careful, and I had my compensating muscles helping me to become more mobile, so that allowed me to not fall as often. But now that I'm in stage 3, even though I'm just as careful, I'm falling again. So why is that? It's probably because I haven't got much muscle strength left. So what's the lesson learned on all of these falls? It's to always be careful when we're walking and moving, and give it just our fullest amount of concentration that we can muster. Also, I've learned a new term as a result of 2 of my falls when I couldn't get up. That term is lift assist. You call 911, you tell them you need a lift assist. If you're not injured, you tell them that you don't need an ambulance, you don't want lights, you don't want sirens, and it works great. They show up and pick you up off the floor. Lastly, I wanted to share a comment with you on some of my most important assistive devices, at least so far. At the beginning, it was my cane, my seat cushions, my walker, but now in the stage that I'm at, it's even more, the items that are even more crucial for me are my power chair, my power recliner with the straight lift option, and the power lift seat toilet. And by the way, some utility companies, not all, but some have what's called a medical baseline cost reduction to reduce your electric bill by a small amount to help us with all of this constant charging and power usage. For me, that only saves about $35 a month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but over 20 years, it could add up to $8,000 to $10,000. So it's worth filling out the form, right? So I just hope these few thoughts are a help to you and a reminder to me about what is most important and how to plan for the future. Best of luck for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig, for the very, very informative presentation. I know our viewers will enjoy that. Thank you, Carolyn, for joining this episode. I know quite a few people are interested in their dysphagia problems, and just to preface things, Carolyn is a retired surgical nurse. She was diagnosed back in the 2000s, with about 2008 you were diagnosed?
2010.
2010. A few years after I was, but just to show the difference in people, she still has quite a bit of mobility left, although she struggles a little bit with it now, but is a lot better. But one thing that she did surpass me in quite early was her ability to swallow food. And I'm going to let her talk about the procedure that she had. She'll tell us when she had it and what she had. Carolyn, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. I started noticing that I was having trouble, probably at least, well, it just advances, and I suppose everybody's had the same problem, and then I got to where I was, had large, I was choking on mucus, and then the thing that's got me scared is, like when I lay back, like to watch television or something, I felt like I was breathing bubbles. Anyway, so I was referred to Dr. Vorman, Vorman, at Hutchinson Clinic, and he's a throat specialist. And then, of course, they did the study. He scoped my throat, and he said, "Oh, I know what you've got." So what it was is your cricoid ligament enlarged is around your esophagus. And so this cricopharyngeal myotomy is a surgery that he recommended. I know you guys probably have heard about dilatation with bougies, which are a long orange tubing of different sizes that they stretch your throat. And I knew I didn't want that. He gave me all these alternatives, and he didn't know anything about myositis, but he said, "Let me study up on this." And he called me back, and then I went over to the office. He showed me what the procedure was about, and I said, "Let's do it." So I know you probably can't see, he made the incision on the left side of my neck because the thickness of my cricoid ligament was between the esophagus and my trachea. And what he did, he went in and took a wedge out of the ligament. And like I said, I was in the hospital overnight. I just had the incision is about this long, and they go in according to where they find the thickness of your ligament that wraps around your esophagus. And I mean, within a week, I could not believe the difference. I had it done 5 years, actually it'd be 5 years ago this month. I had it done in January.
Carolyn, what type of doctor is it? Is a ENT, a ear, nose, and throat, or a gastroenterologist? Yes. Or
no, he's an ENT specialist, just for the throat.
Okay.
And then if I have other, now I had a stricture down here lower. Now that it requires a gastroenterologist to do that, and I had that stretched. But my main concern was up here. And with the myositis, you lose. It's like a stroke person. You lose the muscles in your neck, and I still have to be careful. Like I said, I don't go anywhere without water. You've got to keep your throat moist. When I woke up from the surgery, I had a little drain in there. He said he likes to do that in case there's any leakage or anything after the surgery, but that popped. He took that out 7 o'clock that morning, and I left the hospital by 10 or 11 o'clock that day.
Okay.
And
for the few days, for the days after the surgery, do you have to be on a special diet or a soft diet, liquid diet, or anything?
I mean, the first couple of days you just want to drink. Everybody has a different pain tolerance, but for me, it wasn't any worse than having a little sore throat.
Okay.
And that didn't last. That lasted a couple of days, so you just go according to that. Yeah. The stitches are. There's no stitches on the outside, so they were just little steri strips. And eventually you just, as you shower, take that off. And then he said, wipe the incision with vitamin B oil. And I'd never heard of that, but it really works. I mean, you can't even hardly tell I have a scar.
Yeah, that's interesting. You were telling me about that the other day, and I had never heard of vitamin B oil either for
I hadn't
for
either.
anti-scarring.
Yeah. Right. I think I told you I had another surgery in this year ago, January, and I used that on the incisions that they had made on my stomach, and I don't know what about vitamin B, but it really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. Okay, going way back to the beginning when you first started this whole deal, did you go to your family doctor who then sent you to a speech pathologist, and did they do any tests? No, you went right to the ENT from your family doctor. I
went straight to my ENT. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
I had read up about speech pathologists, and I thought, this seems more like a physical. I mean, I'm not saying that speech wouldn't have helped, but I don't understand how that would have helped with the swallowing. I mean, I was to the point where if I choked, I could not get the food to go on down. I had to go to the bathroom. One nice thing, if the ligament should thicken again, I can have the surgery. He said he could do the surgery again, and I would do it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And any other problems or sensation from that area of the throat? When you swallow, or you feel you've got good clearance now for swallowing everything and anything?
Yeah, I did go see him here a couple weeks ago. I still get some mucus type, but nothing like I did at the beginning. And I just thought, well, I just want to make sure nothing's going on. And he scoped, and I did one of those swallowing tests. I don't know if you guys have ever done in the barium swallows, and they check how fast you swallow. I do. When I swallow, it slows to get the food on down a little bit. But he said other than that, everything looked good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you answered a lot of preliminary questions that other IBMers may have about this procedure, and we're fortunate to be able to get you online to tell them about it. So we really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again, Carolyn. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks, Jerry. Always good to see you. Bye, kiddo.
Although the abbreviation NCIS means one thing to the TV world, it can be used differently in the minds of people associated with inclusion body myositis. The sign on the front door might read any of the following, but this last one probably nails exactly what we all think NCIS should mean. We all need to leave a huge thanks to the 3 IBMers featured in this episode. it's evident that Neva, Craig, and Carolyn all exhibited their passion to help other people diagnosed with IBM, as well as to their spouses and caregivers. If you'd like to share your IBM story on this IB Myositis channel, send an email to me at ibmyositis@gmail.com. If you enjoy this information, press the like button and make sure that you're a subscriber to the IB Myositis channel.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. I guess you're trying to stay strong.